Hey guys, this is Editing Colin here. Real quick before we get into the video, as I was finishing up the script, I saw that another YouTuber named M Enterprises uploaded a video on the same topic just a few days ago. I really enjoy his content, and he was also one of the major inspirations behind me making my own videos, so I considered not even finishing this video as to not step on anyone's toes, but I feel as though my video has expanded and covers other topics enough that I feel comfortable adding in my 2 cents on the subject. That being said, credit where credit is due to M Enterprises, and if you haven't, you should check out his video on the topic as it is very well done. Anyways, back to the freaking video. So I'm sure we've all seen by now that there have been multiple leaks from the set of the new Superman movie directed by James Gunn. This isn't the first time we've seen this suit, since they did release an image of the suit earlier this year, but these leaked set photos gave us a way better look at the suit in its entirety. We basically see everything, the front to back, the full shebang. And I'm happy to announce that everyone finally agrees, and everyone is happy. Just kidding. It was divisive as shit, and the DC nerds are arguing online about it.
Fucking you, bloody bastard, bitch, you.
I originally started writing this video just to give my takes on the new look and talk about what they've changed, what I think works and what doesn't work for a Superman costume, yada yada yada. But I just don't think I can do that without diving into a few things that I think people just get fundamentally wrong about the character of Superman, and why some of the backlash I've seen to this design feels, at least to me, a bit misguided. I also want to preface this whole thing by being completely upfront and honest. I haven't really read a lot of Superman stuff. This is mostly due to the if it isn't Batman or Spider-Man then I don't care mentality I had when I started reading comics, and I've since tried to branch out and read other properties, but I've read maybe one solo Superman comic, with a few random panels from the internet here and there. Most of my knowledge of Superman, besides the basic stuff, is from some Justice League stories as well as the animated shows and movies. If that fact alone has completely discredited my opinions on the character to you, that's cool and I kind of understand, but at the same time, I don't care and I'm going to talk about it anyway. You know why? Not out of spite, well, maybe a little bit out of spite, but mostly because I would argue that I know just enough about Superman to somewhat know what I'm talking about, while also not being so invested in the character that I can no longer relate to some of the less dork-centric general audience that'll be coming to see Jimmy's new Big Blue Boy Scout when it hits theaters. I'd also like to mention that these are just my takes. I know I said that these are things people get wrong, but everyone is entitled to their own opinions, and if you hear mine and think I'm entirely wrong, then more power to you and call me stupid in the comments or something. Either way, I'd say that's enough justification, and let's just freaking talk about Superman. I think that, generally speaking, there are several things that people get wrong about Superman, and it's kind of hard to blame them when he's gone through so many iterations and changes through the years. I mean, this is the OG superhero. His first appearance was only 10 years after the invention of sliced bread, and an entire 66 years before the invention of America's favorite beverage, Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
What you know about rolling down in the deep in the boom dum something else and other stuff and lots of words.
That's like a long ass time, but I've managed to boil down my incohesive rants on this subject into 2 major concepts, starting with the thing that people get wrong. Number 1, Superman is boring. Now, I used to hear this a lot, maybe not so much in the recent years, and I won't lie, I was genuinely one of these people that bought into the idea that Superman being a goody two-shoes, all good, no gruff, strong man was boring, or that he was overpowered and lame. And it's only when I started to think about the very concept of Superman and lost maybe just a smidge of all my teenage edge that I realized how important the very idea of the character is and how entertaining that character can be when used correctly. Superman being a pillar of truth and morality is honestly a breath of fresh air these days, as it feels every heroic character has to also be brooding and dark or an anti-hero of some kind. And that's coming from a self-admitted Batman fanboy. If every character is dark and edgy, it makes them all just boring. You need the contrast of those beacon of light type characters. Speaking of Batman though, I think one of the best representations of Superman being truly good to his core actually comes from a Batman comic, funnily enough. In Batman Hush, Poison Ivy uses a kryptonite lipstick to mind control Superman, having him attack Batman and Catwoman. While Batman and Superman duke it out in the sewers, Catwoman actually kidnaps Lois Lane and pushes her off the top of the Daily Planet. Seeing Lois about to die makes Superman snap out of Ivy's control and save Lois's life before he even realizes what's happened. He was so physically unable to just stand by as someone he loved was in danger that he broke through his mind control to save them. If that's not heroism at its peak, I don't know what is. It's actually kind of funny that I used to think that that good guy Superman was so boring, because now, thanks to Injustice, we see the what if Superman were an asshole concept so often. I honestly find that take on the character to be boring.
It's time to stop! It's time to stop, okay?
That being said, I don't hate Injustice like some people. I know it's kind of a hot take, but I even enjoyed the Injustice animated movie. But the irreparable damage that universe has done to my boy Supes cannot be ignored. Injustice also kind of shit all over Nightwing and Tim Drake, but that's a topic for a separate video. Anyway, my point is that we are overdue for a resurgence of the Superman that's actually a good dude. My Adventures with Superman seems to be doing pretty well with their interpretation, making him a lot more dorky than you normally find Superman to be, but I'd take this over the stone cold alien demigod version any day. I want to see Superman greeting fans with a big grin and genuinely helping people. Hell, have him legitimately save a cat from a tree at this point. Anything that actually harkens back to the symbol of justice and inspiration that Superman was meant to be. This brings me to section B of my Superman rambling, where I address the Snyderverse. Some people still think Zack Snyder's interpretation of Superman is the definitive version of Superman, and I gotta be honest, that's wrong. It's just wrong to me. Now, before I really get into this, I want to start by saying I actually like Henry Cavill a lot. I think he's a great actor, and when given the right material, he can really knock it out of the park and sell a performance. For example, when he played Geralt from The Witcher and absolutely crushed it. I mean, that shit was I also don't entirely hate Zack Snyder. I think he does have a genuine misunderstanding of not only the main Justice League heroes, but also the cast of the Watchmen universe as well. However, I would be lying through my teeth if I said I did not enjoy his take on the Watchmen. That being said, the Snyderverse was absolute dog water. I mean, it's not all bad. It definitely has some okay parts, but I just genuinely do not like the Snyderverse. I'm sorry, I gotta be honest.
Sue me, alright? Sue me, it sucks.
So Superman was obviously a major player in the Snyderverse, with its first movie being Man of Steel. Hey guys, sorry to interrupt, this is editing Colin again, but I was looking at posters for Man of Steel to put as, reference for this part. Can we just take a break and talk about how this might possibly be the worst movie poster I've ever seen? I get that they were trying to do something cool with him flying or whatever, but it's so fucking blurry, it's like, it gives me a headache to look at. It's awful. How did they legitimately think that this was a good idea? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen this poster before now, and I unironically hate this poster. Anyway, sorry about that. Back to the video. And of course, he's a large part of Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice. Mark Dawn of Butt Piss, because that movie sucks. I could make entire videos on both of those movies, and honestly, I probably will at some point, but for now, I really just want to talk about what I think good old Zacky Poo got wrong. For starters, this Superman is just kind of depressing. Everything is so dark and his face is so emotionless and cold that it's basically impossible to see this version of Clark as a symbol of hope. He just seems so unhappy and even downright psychotic at times. This Superman doesn't behave like Superman. He behaves more like an alien than anything else.
Oh my god.
And I know what you're thinking, but Colin, Superman is an alien, you silly fuck. And while yes, that is true, and feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Superman's entire deal that he was raised by farmers in Midwestern America like a normal kid? That while not being a human, his life on Earth with the Kents gifted him with a sense of humanity so strong that he feels a moral obligation to protect and save the planet that he now sees as his home? Maybe I'm getting too far off the rails, but it just doesn't feel like the Superman we see in Man of Steel or Batman v Superman has even an ounce of humanity between the way he speaks or the way he interacts with people. I mean, in what he thinks are about to be his final moments in Batman v Superman, he refers to the woman who raised him from a literal baby as Martha. Not Mom, not even Ma Kent, but Martha. It's just so weirdly cold.
You're letting him kill Martha.
Huh?
Find him. Save Martha.
Okay.
Seriously, what human person talks like this? I think this weird interpretation being the only real modern depiction in movies made the public think Superman is just kind of like this, and he's really not at all, and it's left the public perception of Superman in a weird spot. Alright, so now that I've rambled for a while about my takes on the current state of Superman and pop culture, I just want to get into the juice, the reason why I'm talking about Superman at all and not recording yet another Batman video. Jimmy Gunn's new Superman suit. What are my thoughts? Is it good? Is it unbearably bad? Does it work? I think there's a lot of important things to remember, especially with the fact that these are leaked set photos with no editing or CGI. But from what we've seen so far, at least in my opinion, it appears to be a refreshing return to form for the character. I don't think it's perfect, but I do think it's far more accurate to the comics, as well as just better looking than the Snyder suit. Cavill stans probably clicked off this video a long time ago, but if any of you are still here by this point, I'm sorry, but that dark, scaly looking nonsense just doesn't do it for me. The black suit looked pretty cool, but the normal suit is just ugh. This new look for Superman gives us the red trunks, which I've seen people arguing a lot about actually, and I just don't really get that. At least to me, the key components of the Superman suit are the red boots, the red trunks, the red cape, and the iconic S on the chest. I know that in the comics, Superman has had iterations of his suit without the trunks, but I think every time I see that, it just is missing something. I don't know. Maybe I'm just stuck in the past, but Superman just looks better with the trunks in my opinion.
Give me those trunks.
I gotta have them. I gotta have those trunks. I've also seen some people saying the suit looks baggy and that David Corn Sweat, I don't know, doesn't look as muscular as he should, and honestly, that's some hoopla.
Sounds like a lot of... Hoopla! It sounds like a lot of... Hoopla! Sounds like a... Hoopla!
Hoopla! I'm sure the suit will look at least slightly different after all the post-production that will surely go into this movie, but even then I think this is a far more grounded version of the Superman costume, looking like it has some kind of thickness and resilience to it beyond that of just spandex. I'm not sure what the lines on the blue portions of the suit are for, but I'm not against them. I think it gives the suit a good textured look without being overbearing, but I mean, that's just me. Like I said earlier, I don't think it's perfect, but when I think of Superman, this is just far closer to that image of the Man of Steel that I see in my head than what we actually got from Zack Snyder, or really just most modern interpretations of the character for that matter. This Superman is more vibrant, he's actually smiling in some of these photos, leading me to believe that he won't be a murdering maniac this time around. The Superman is actually a symbol of real hope. Hope that this movie won't drive the legacy of this character into the gutter any farther than it already has been. All jokes aside, I'm actually very hopeful for this movie, as well as Gunn's DC universe in general, as long as DC doesn't cancel the Batman Part 2, because if they do, I'll freaking riot. Who knows, maybe Gunn will absolutely drop the ball, and I'll look like a massive dumbass in a few years, but hey, I'll probably look like a massive dumbass in a few years either way. I'm just excited to see what he does, what characters we get in the spotlight, and how he navigates his own potential Justice League. I want to see the whole league in a movie, like with Green Arrow, Plastic Man, Black Canary, all of them. I know that's kind of asking a lot for one movie, but I think if it's done well, it could be really cool to see. But anyways guys, I hope you enjoyed this little rant. This is a little different from my usual content, especially because it doesn't revolve around Batman, but I just wanted to give my thoughts on this whole thing and share my thoughts on Superman as a whole, I guess. If you did enjoy the video, please consider subscribing. I've got more episodes of my Batman Arkham Origins Let's Play on the way, as well as some non-DC content I've been cooking up. Don't forget to leave a like, because each like adds another fisheroo to my basket so I can feed my hungry children and my poor fish wife. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.